OpenAI says ChatGPT can now see and speak. Amazon to sink $4 billion into AI development with Anthropic, becoming its cloud provider. California governor vetoes a bill for obligatory human operators in autonomous trucks. And the high tech behind Netflix, now soon to be old school DVD service. This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran. I want to welcome you to episode 1694 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, September 25th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and also supported by listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. We are lit. We are live with apps from podcastapps.com. Join the value for value revolution. Earn sats just by switching to a new modern podcasting app. Hey, welcome listeners. Welcome far and wide. Thank you for being here. All the brand new listeners, make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Follow or subscribe to the podcast via your favorite podcast app, but just use one of those new podcast apps at podcastapps.com. Of course, we want you to get hooked up with a newsletter as well while you're there. And you can connect with us. It's real easy to do so with our chat room at geeknews.chat for our social integration where you can interact with all the other listeners on all those new podcast apps. You can always contact me via email. That's real easy to do. geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Or I'm on X at Geek News. Of course, you can follow me on Facebook as well. Partner shows are all linked at geeknewscentral.com, whether it be the new media show hosted by myself, Mr. Rob Greenlee, the Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain, who is now on his second week in Europe. And, of course, we have the GNC Week in Review with our executive producer, Kirk, and his co-host, Scott. And, of course, definitely check all the shows out at geeknewscentral.com. Of course, this show is sponsored by the longest-running continuous sponsor of a podcast. That's our good friends at GoDaddy.com. You can save. This is where savings begin. Savings begin here at Geek News Central for GoDaddy by going to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. When you get over on the webpage, lock in your savings, a penny, just a penny for a brand new .com, or $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain. Those two hosting deals are absolutely the best hosting deals on the known or within the known universe. So definitely check them out. Again, $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain, and $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain, or a free trial GoDaddy website builder, your choice of personal business and business plus plans. Whatever you do, savings start here. Lock in your savings. You'll see the links for Geek News Central on the left-hand column of that table. Lock in your savings. Get started today. You support a team, a very small team of writers. Help me pay the rent, insurance, everything that goes on here. It's greatly appreciated that you do that. Share these codes and this webpage with your friends, family members, people that you know. Do not write it on the bathroom wall, but maybe drop the link in a Zoom meeting. You know, seeing that no one actually has a water cooler anymore, I don't think, or a break room. So, drop it in your digital workspace where they allow you to announce these kinds of things. We definitely appreciate it when you do. And again, thanks for GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here of the Geek News Central podcast. We are fast approaching the end of September, so it's crunch time. Get those savings in today. So just to give you a heads up, this coming Saturday is the People's Choice Podcast Awards ceremony, and I'm running a little behind. I got to get my butt busy here over the next couple of days and prepping for that. So this coming Saturday, live 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be announcing the 18th Annual People's Choice Podcast Award winners. So we're excited about doing that. So should be a good time. It should be lots of excited content creators and listeners across the world. So definitely tune in for our live event if you'd like to watch the awards in action, where we honor 30 different shows in the podcasting space. There was something I was going to share with you guys. It came to my mind as I was starting the show prep today, and I didn't write it down. That was dumb. But, we've got a number of you that are still contributing $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, and $25 a month over at geeknesscentral.com/insider. And we love these I call them Fiat Funds. And you can come over here and you can make on-chain donations for Bitcoin. You can submit Satoshis manually, or you can use good old PayPal to set up a monthly, or you can write a check to the show. There's an address there, and or make a one-time donation to the podcast. And we greatly appreciate it when you do. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Kirk talked to me the other day. He said, "Hey, I got my hotel booked. I got my CES registration done. Got my airline booked." And I was like, "Man, I have not looked at any of that." So yesterday, I got my CES registration done. I got my hotel booked. I haven't booked the airline tickets yet, so I need to get that in work here directly. Definitely going to use some points to go out to Vegas for the event. But we'll be staying downtown like I normally do, and go in there and take care of business and cover the show again this year. So that's on the game plan. If you'd like to come out to CES, if you've ever considered coming out to CES, let me know. It would be the time to commit if you want to come out and hang out with the crew and be a supporter. You'd maybe carry a camera, maybe take care of the green room. It really runs the gambit of things that we have for folks to do. It's a voluntary basis. You do have to pay for your hotel. You do have to pay for your travel. I'll get you the pass, but again, this is a non-paying, and we just do not have the budget anymore to pay folks to come out and help. So it would be completely on a voluntary basis if you so did so. So definitely consider doing that if you want to. So the AI space, bada bing, bada boom, is moving like a warp speed. And this announcement by OpenAI today saying that ChatGPT can now see and speak is big. This says the days of communicating with ChatGPT by typing are coming to an end. And it's introducing a new voice and image capabilities, letting users have a voice conversation or show the AI what you're talking about. So voice and images give you more ways to use ChatGPT in your life. Snap a picture of a landmark while you're traveling and have a live conversation about what's interesting about it. When you're home, snap pictures of your fridge and pantry to figure out what's for dinner. OpenAI will begin offering voice and image ChatGPT Plus and enterprise users over the next 2 weeks per the post. Voice will be available on iOS and Android, and images will be an option for user on all platforms. The update to OpenAI comes really when we've got a whole bunch of announcements. Apple's reportedly spending millions of dollars each day to build out its AI capability. And just, big announcement too, to follow that up, that Amazon is going to they're going to sink $4 billion into AI dev Anthropic, which is known for Claude 2. So I have subscribed to Anthropic. I pay both for a ChatGPT. I pay for Anthropic. I use both. I think right now, based upon some tests I did on Friday, I think that ChatGPT is ahead again a little bit in the game. Anthropic has got it's for the use cases I'm using it for. So I'd like to know, what are you finding? What are you finding as you're out there playing with these models? What are you seeing as the the one that's leading. Now, Amazon strengthening its ties via an investment of up to $4 billion as AWS becomes a primary cloud provider and the home for Anthropic's foundation models. Megacorp Amazon expects this expanded agreement with AI developers speed development of Anthropic's future foundation models. The $4 billion investment makes Amazon a minority owner of Anthropic, with AWS becoming Anthropic's primary cloud provider. Amazon is following Microsoft's lead in taking a stake in OpenAI. Of course, we know the Redmond giant has poured billions into OpenAI, which we just talked about. As for Anthropic, it plans to run the majority of its workload on AWS from now on. It will make use of Amazon's Trainium and Inferentia AI accelerators to build, train, and deploy future foundation models. And the AI dev has also agreed to give AWS cloud users access to future generation of its foundation models via Amazon Bedrock, which, from my dev team, is really, how should we say it, hard to work with. Support for Amazon Bedrock is expanding, said Anthropic, because of significant AWS customer demand for Claude, the large language model chatbot Anthropic is best known for. So Amazon claims it's offering services at all three layers of the generative AI stack, starting with compute instances backed by NVIDIA's GPU, as well as its own custom silicon chips at the bottom, a selection of foundation models available via Bedrock in the middle, and generative AI application services such as Amazon Code Whisperer at the top. So it's moving quickly. Two big announcements. And the Marketing AI show, I'm sure tomorrow, is going to be it's going to be awesome. I think I just got a comment on YouTube, and I think that probably I'll cover on Wednesday's show here, but it says, have you seen the talk that the CEO of Rumble faces arrest under the Online Safety Act if he were to set foot in the UK? Think it was in the Sun newspaper tabloid. Now, I have not seen that. Send me a link to that. Definitely, that's one of those things we'd like to cover here. If you send it to me via email, geeknews@gmail.com is the place to always send unique stuff like that. I am about 3,000 emails behind, although I did dig a couple of comments out today that had came in that we'll cover. So, but anyway, that thanks for that heads up via the YouTube chat from Bangs. Appreciate it. For you, those are truck drivers out there that are married to truck drivers, or you work in the truck driving industry, I told you. California governor vetoes bill for obligatory human operators in autonomous trucks. He's blocked a bill that would have required autonomous trucks weighing more than 10,000 pounds to have human safety drivers on board while operating public roads. The governor said in a statement that the legislation, which California Senate members passed 36-2, was unnecessary. He believes the existing law is sufficient to ensure there's an appropriate regulatory framework. Interesting. Now, he has a reputation for being very friendly to the tech industry. And he's reportedly faced pressure within his administration not to sign the bill. And the State of Businesses and Economic Development warned that the proposed law would lead to companies that are working on self-driving tech to move out of California. I don't understand this. He's just protected he basically has left the door open for driverless vehicles. California Labor Federation head Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher estimates that not requiring human drivers in trucks would cost around 250,000 jobs. She says, we will not sit by as bureaucratic side with tech companies trading our safety and jobs for increased corporate profits. Now, I said probably 4 years ago, maybe 5, that we are 10 years away from having the ability for these trucks to drive on their own. And my premises was that these trucks would get to a major interstate. They'd have a driver in them all the way till they got to a staging area on a major route like I-5, on one of the subsidiary routes, or, one of the east-west routes, whatever it may be. They'd be on that route. And the driver would get out, the truck would leave. And then when it got to a major metropolitan area where there needed to be assistance, another driver would get in, drive it through the metropolitan area or the short haul to wherever the drop would be. And that's how things would work. I still contend that is probably the model that will happen. With the trucking industry right now for private drivers in absolute shambles. I mean, if you watch anything or to track anything that's going on in the trucking business, independent drivers right now are just getting hammered. Fuel prices are up to $4.50, $4.60 a gallon, and they're still right now. Freight is down to a couple of dollars a mile versus 3 or 4 miles, or maybe $5 a mile, what it was just a few years ago. And there's just absolutely blood in the street in the private trucking business and getting loads. And brokers that are using AI to basically squeeze the end user who's basically driving these trucks on the highway. Now, if these truckers are driving for a firm, they probably get a certain amount of mile no matter what, and the firm has to make it on margins. But the independents are just getting beat up. And I think what's going to happen here is this is just going to put more pressure. And the biggest expense is probably is always the driver expense, I'm sure. Fuel's a lot, but still, if you're paying a driver about $1.50, $2 a mile, and the millions and probably billions of miles being driven by the trucking industry, you think about taking a driver out of the seat. It could change things dramatically. Okay, so the third piece is just something that's cool. It's from The Verge. And talks about the high tech behind Netflix's old school DVD service. And over the last 25 years, Netflix has shipped more than 5 billion DVDs to millions of subscribers. The disc by mail service shutting down this Friday owed a lot of its success to behind the scenes innovation. And they go through that. When Netflix enters machines to stuff its iconic red envelopes to the tune of 4,500 discs an hour and sort them by zip code for shipping, then it automated the processing of return DVDs, and Netflix commissioned some companies in Ireland that had been building machines to pack CDs and DVDs for clients like Microsoft. And basically, they built these custom disc robots. And the robotics company sold 180 of these to Netflix in 2010, and they're deployed in stages across all of its hubs. The labor savings alone were massive. The hubs were a spectacular number of people. You could replace about 5 humans opening discs with one machine. And once a hub was fully automated, it only required a handful of people to operate. Warehouse workers would arrive at 2 a.m. each day to flip on the machines and process tens of thousands of DVDs in time to deliver them to the Postal Service later that morning. It was just one person per machine. You have one person running the stuffer, one person running the sorter, and one person running the rental return machine. And it wasn't just about labor cost. They did all kinds of automated technology for scanning and tied it into their whole system. And but one thing was for sure. And those of you that still got DVDs, some of the DVDs were scratched and weren't playable. And that really, I don't think that ever really worked that great. Because when we used to get DVDs, I used to get scratch ones all the time. But anyway, there's a great history here and some cool YouTube videos on what this did. DVDs generated more than $2.6 billion in profits for Netflix and really set them on their way. So it's a great look at history for any of us that ever had a Netflix account. So anyway, very, very cool. EU online piracy. EU online piracy is on the rise as consumers feel the pinch. Now, on a recent vacation, and I guess I said where I was at. I was down in the Dominican Republic. The Airbnb that I was in had a TV system that was awesome and had over 1,500 television channels. It had everything. And I don't know how they got it. They had a special over the top box and some service that when I came back here and went looking for, it's not available in the United States. But this thing had everything. It had every channel known to man. So with the plethora of legitimate streaming options today, you would be thinking that there wasn't a lot of pirated TV, but a new study by the EU's Intellectual Property Office shows that after multi-year decline, online privacy is up. The main finding is that the declining trend seen earlier seems to be reversing because people are tight on money. The study found that TV shows are by far the most pirated type of content, accounting for nearly 48% of all piracy. Illegal streaming of live events such as sports games is also on the rise, while piracy of software and publication also showed significant increase. As a matter of fact, this TV system that I watched had live TV of every news station in America. It was crazy. According to the study, streaming has become the most popular method to access illicit TV content. So, if you think about it, when we all cut the cord, I could get YouTube TV with a huge number of channels for like $35 or something. Now that price is nearly $70. It's not worth it to have it no more. I don't even use it. I canceled it. And with all these streaming services upping the prices for everything, people are getting pissed off again and they're starting to pirate TV again. So it is definitely it is a big industry outside the United States. And, but anyways, very, very, very interesting from my perspective, because I was like, how could they possibly have all these TV channels? And I looked at the name of the service, and when I look at it here, it's a complete, it's probably have to set a what you call it, a VPN to, some other country to be able to figure out what the service is. You probably can't get it here if you even tried, but it was very, very interesting to see that while I was there. The WGA strike may end. The Writer Guilds Association strike may end as studios offer streaming and AI concessions. The Writers Guild called the deal exceptional, but it still needs member approval. So following marathon negotiations over the last 5 days, major studios have reached a tentative deal to end the 146-day strike. Picketing has been suspended as of last night, but the strike is still in force until the deal is ratified and approved by the members. And they say, to be clear, no one is returned to work until specifically authorized by the guild. And one last sticking point is reported the use of generative AI. Other details of the contract have yet to be released. So we'll see here. The labor strike isn't finished because the SAG-AFTRA Guild is still on strike over issues like likeness rights. So we'll see if SAG-AFTRA is able to get back in the game here. And again, it's the WGA that's got a deal. Interesting story about Instacart. Instacart founder says his empty refrigerator was the inspiration for the delivery startup. And he walked away with $1.1 billion after his IPO last week. And of course, Instacart's shares have been down 11%. But he said, more than a decade ago, I was sitting in my apartment bemoaning the fact that the only thing in my fridge was hot sauce. Don't get me wrong, I love hot sauce, but you can't make it a meal. The realization you could shop for everything online except for groceries inspired him to code the first version of Instacart. And in the lead up to his handing over the reins as CEO to former Meta executive Fidji Samo, he was involved in a dispute with key investors who were pushing for the company to go public at a time when the company's valuation peaked at $39 billion. So the IPO was at 9.9. So a big difference here. And so again, we'll see. But they still, walked away with a big pile of cash for just thinking about his refrigerator being empty. It's often that little type of thing that makes us go, Google Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro pricing is leaked, and it's bad news for the base model. A tipster by the name of Camellia posted what looks like a screenshot of the official U.S. pricing. The Pixel 8 is priced at $699, a jump of $100, and Pixel 7, but it's unclear if the base storage has jumped from $120 to $256. The Google Pixel 8 Pro has been tipped to $899. So be aware. You might see a bump. We're seeing a bump in everything because everything is crazy. Now, congratulations to NASA. I guess they had a successful recovery of the OSIRIS-REx yesterday. And, of course, we know that Queen's Brian May helped NASA return its first asteroid. So that seems to be what everyone's talking about, except, what's really was important that they got the sample back. So anyway, happy sample return day, and congratulations to those who worked so incredibly hard on this mission, especially my dear friend Dante. God bless you all. He added. So I don't think Kirk picked anything up on that in the news today, so we may have to dig around for that. If you are an Evernote user, some are apparently being forced onto more expensive plans without you knowing. So just be aware of that. One Reddit user said that their account had been upgraded from Evernote Plus to Evernote Personal, a change they were only aware of after spotting a Welcome to Evernote Personal banner in the Evernote. Another commented the same problem, knowing that their subscription increased from $79 per year to $159. Evernote has responded saying that my account was charged in error and I was being converted back to Plus. I checked again and I'm on Plus again. So make sure you check your Evernote accounts. Make sure you haven't been upgraded. Something happened there, and something apparently has been adjusted. The 5 most dangerous Wi-Fi attacks and how to fight them. This is a good article from PC World. I'm not going to go into this too deep, but the number one thing you always need to do is keep your router updated. And it actually reminded me, and I logged into my router because I hadn't been in it for several months, and I do have it set up to automatically update. And the router was up to date with the current firmware. And, your router is really your gateway into your own home entire network. An attack on your Wi-Fi network is not like a bank robbery. Instead of mass robbers blowing open the vault, a hacker inconspicuously approaches the router, searches for weak points, and tries out several attack paths. Or he explodes an annoying security hole by unleashing an attack on the router that has been prepared for this purpose. And so it's a good thing why you should never, ever have like in a business or in a home, if you're worried, do not let the model of your router be seen. That's one good thing. And there's a Wi-Fi strategy, there's a deauthentication strategy, all kinds of different attacks. And there's a brute force attack for passwords. Of course, people trying to do a false access point. So just be careful. And because you might try to all of a sudden say, oh, you're not logged into and this is around businesses especially, all of a sudden you say, oh, I can't, and you try to log in to your router, and guess what? They got your password. So be very, very careful out there. Protect your stuff, okay? And VPNs are good as well. I run a VPN here for everything that I have. All my machines run a VPN, and it's very, very handy to be able to access these. I use Tailscale. Tailscale is the VPN I use, and it really makes it easy to basically have a great private VPN, and it does require reauthentication on an occasional basis. But that's one I like and trust the most for basically to be able to access the machines when I'm out of the network. The iPad Mini 7. Now you run a VPN on your computer too. That's a different deal. But Tailscale is a very interesting product. The iPad Mini 7 could still arrive before the end of 2023, according to reports. And so we'll see. This comes from Taiwanese outlet Digitimes, a publication with close connection sources inside Apple's supply chain. In an article on market demand for tablets, they said a new small-size iPad due to launch in the fourth quarter of the year, which sounds like the successor to the iPad Mini 6. And so we'll see. We use I can't tell you what we use. Anyway, long story short, I have an iPad Mini, but it's used for only one purpose. So I'll just leave it at that. It's kept in the safety deposit box. NASA plans to use blockchain to store data on the moon. Yes, that's an interesting revelation, isn't it? Space agency NASA and computer startup Lone Star and the Isle of Man are joining forces to spearhead a new data storage solution using blockchain to safely store data on the moon. So what is this for? The scientists began testing the storage capacity with startups in February of 2024. A lunar data cube will be launched to the moon. It will be a black rectangle, and it will carry on it a terabyte of data and will be powered by solar energy. It could sit there forever, explained Rosen to the BBC. This makes it more sustainable than storage solutions found here on Earth. However, not all agree. They say this thing still, if it has remote access, could be hacked. But what they want to do is they want to put data on here. If something happens to us here on Earth, there will be a data backup on the moon. Not like we can really get there to get it. Something happened to us. Really, do you think if we're all wiped out, anyone will know that there is a hard drive on the moon with all of our history on it, and plus 1 terabyte? That's it? That's all? Meta is planning on introducing dozens of chatbot personas, including a Futurama favorite. This is coming on the 27th. The new chatbot expected to launch during Meta's Connect event and will introduce some familiar but dated personas. I don't know. I think this is going to be the stupidest thing ever. We'll keep an eye on this, see what happens. If you live in Dallas, city of Dallas details ransomware attack. They've announced that an $8.5 million budget has been approved to support the restoration of assistance following the May 2023 ransomware attack. The incident, the city says, in report detailing attack was identified May 3rd, when the streaming cybercrime gang Royale started deploying file encryption ransomware on multiple systems. During this time, Royale performed data exfiltration and ransomware delivery preparation activities. The data exfiltration activities performed during the surveillance resulted in data leakage totaling 1.169 terabyte. During the same period, the cyber gang deployed various tools in the city's network suppression for the ransomware deployment, but they locked them out. So this is paying a mitigation, recovery, and restoration efforts. Did they pay the ransom? I don't think so. But they must have had some backups that were safe. Amazon, listen to this if you're using this. Amazon's placing free Alexa Guard security feature behind a paywall. Many of Guard's once free features will now require a $6 monthly subscription for emergency assist and an Amazon Prime membership starting next year. So what was free is now going to be paid for. Things are becoming, these products cost a lot to run. I am kind of excited, even though I don't need it. The DJI Mini Pro has been unveiled. And meet the drone that DJI fans are calling the Air 3 Mini. This is interesting. We rate the DJI Mini 3 Pro as the best drone for most people and is now officially being exceeded by the Mini 4 Pro. And while the Mini 3 Pro blew us away with conference improvements almost 18 months later, our DJI Mini 4 Pro review reveals the latest model as an incremental update, refining what's already excellent. So what is this one going to cost? Does it say? I got the email. I didn't look at the price. Looks like about $750. $50 for the drone, you may not need another controller. I don't know. Time will tell when you go online and look. You might get away with just buying the drone and your current, if you have a current DJI 3, one of those other controllers, you might be all right. $750, not a bad price for that. There's a new Gmail for Android feature that could be a lifesaver in clearing your inbox. Getting control of your Gmail inbox, even right now for me, is insane. The email service announced will be adding a select all function to its Gmail for Android app, allowing you to instantly select up to 50 emails in the inbox results from a search and delete all. That's what I do now. When I'm this far behind, I select 50 emails, I read through them, unselect the ones I need to read, and then I hit delete and get rid of 50 at a time, or 40, or whatever the number may be. iFixit is good news and bad news about the iPhone 15 Pro Max repairability. While Apple may have made the iPhone 15 Pro Max easier to repair physically, a teardown from iFixit reveals it still comes with the same parts pairing constraints as its predecessors. Like the iPhone 14, iFixit found that the iPhone 15 lineup has a redesigned mid-frame that you can access by removing the device screen or its back glass, which I'm hearing is breaking easily. However, iFixit notes that the internals on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max live behind the screen rather than the back of the glass, as is the case with the base of the iPhone 15. This inverted setup could make critical repairs like battery swaps slightly riskier than on the 14, as you're removing the expensive fragile display rather than an inert sheet of glass. Since you have to apply heat when prying open the screen, there's also a higher chance you could tear a cable that links the display to the device itself. So, despite the transition, Apple's making it difficult to swap out the parts on the iPhone Pro Max. The company pairing requirements mean DIYers and in repair shops can only use new parts purchased directly from Apple to perform repair or else lose functionality. Not only that, Apple is also required that you verify your repairs by contacting technical support, something someone experienced firsthand when changing out the battery in an iPhone 13. So they do not want people fixing stuff. Now, if you are a big science geek, fast food black holes devour stars much quicker than they thought before. A massive supercomputer simulation reveals how fast black holes eat, and it's a lot more intense than once thought. And it's a great science review for those of you that are super nerds that want to dig in and look at the science between this. But let's put it this way. Not a good idea to get in the way of a black hole. Getty Images is announcing its new AI contains no copyrighted content. Getty Images is so confident its new generative AI model is free of copyrighted content that will cover any potential intellectual property disputes for its customers. The generative AI system announced today was built by NVIDIA, is trained solely on images in Getty's image library. It does not include logos or images that have been scraped off the internet without consent. Fundamentally, it's trained, it's clean, it's viable for business to use. We stand behind that claim. Peter says companies that want to use generative AI want total legal certainty they won't face expensive copyright lawsuits. The legal challenges sparked many attempts by others to benefit from generative AI while also protecting intellectual property. Adobe recently launched Firefly, which it claims is similarly trained on copyright-free content. Shutterstock says planning to reimburse artists that works have been sold to AI companies to train models, and Microsoft really announced it also put any copyright legal bill for clients using its text-based generative models. Peter said the creators of images, any people who appear them, have consented to having their art used in the AI model. Getty's offering a Spotify-style compensation model to creatives for the use of their work. And I guarantee you with Getty, I am not, ladies and gentlemen, I am not a fan of those beep beeps. I am not a fan of Getty. I am not. Many, many years ago, I had an image that I used from a source that I licensed that had an image of an image. Basically, there was a frame in the image that had a picture in a frame that was a Getty image. It cost me $600. A little itty-bitty, tiny, itty-bitty little image in a image. It was in a frame. Cost me $600. I am not a fan of Getty at all. Apple's Eddie Q will take the stand Tuesday in the Google antitrust suit. He'll be the second Apple executive to testify in court. Most of that is happening behind closed doors. A lot of this testimony is not being made public. So, all about proprietary stuff. And so I don't know how they can do these not in the public eye. A lot of this stuff is just, we don't see the sausage being made at all. Air Canada has reported data breach for employees. The news was confirmed by the airline via press release. An authorized group briefly obtained limited access to internal Air Canada system related to limited personal information on some employees and certain records. Not a lot of details yet. But, again, another cyber attack. If you're a user of Reddit, Reddit is going to turn your gold into money. Reddit's new contributor program will let you cash out gold given to your post by other users in real money. So Reddit will offer 6 different purchase options for awarding gold, starting at $1.99, all the way up to $49 for 25 gold. After you give gold, you see what Reddit calls a golden upvote, and you'll be able to cash that out. So there's a whole detail on how it will work in the article. I'll have it linked in the show notes for you to check out. This is not surprising. The U.S. government is mulling spying on cloud computing being used to train AI. The U.S. government is considering measures to keep tabs on those who may be using lots of cloud resources. According to reports, the administration is looking to introduce rules that require public cloud operators to disclose to authorities when a customer purchases a level of compute resources that come in above a certain as yet specified threshold. So if my company, Blueberry, buys some compute threshold, it goes over the amount, they're going to let the Department of Commerce know. These rules, which the Department of Commerce would enforce, are intended to create a kind of early warning system to let the government identify potential AI threats ahead of time. As with other areas of advanced tech, it appears the U.S. government is concerned about hostile countries using compute resources to develop AI models. So, of course, we have massive compute capability with all of these cloud providers. I know my bill's pretty big every month, actually exceptionally big every month to Amazon. Surprisingly, the U.S. Trademark Office still wants to keep faxes, but is willing to try this cloud thing. Yes, the trusty old USPTO does still take faxes, but only in certain circumstances. The system successfully supported alternate patent and trademark processing during extended database outage in 2018, but they're going to think about this cloud thing for taking faxes. So, and finally today, announcement from Spotify. And do not listen to this podcast on Spotify. If you're over there, I know that hardly, because I see what the numbers are. There's hardly anybody. Spotify is testing its voice translation feature for podcasts with help from Microsoft-backed OpenAI. So basically, a few podcasters are going to have their voice modeled, and then they're going to create voice-generated technology to have these podcasts recreated in, I think, French, Spanish, German will be the first 3. So if you're a Lex Friedman fan and you speak Spanish, French, or German, you'll be able to listen to him. And I listened to the comparison between Lex Friedman's voice and the Spanish version. It really didn't sound like him per se. I'll let you guys, but I think they're very, I think this is very touchy here. How do you get inflection? How do you get the pauses? How do you get the excitement? If you're just using a voice to read the transcript, I think there's some challenging here. We'll see what happens with this. All right, one of the emails I got was a private one that I can't read on the show. Let me go over here and read this. I got an email from Brian. Hey, Ted, I've been using Fountain for a long time to earn sats, but Fountain for me lately earns less than it did. At this time, can you advise what app is best? Really, I like Fountain the best. That's the only one really from earning. So I don't know how they're doing their earning. I'll reach out to the Fountain people. So I'll have to see if I can sponsor this show so you listen, you can earn. But Brian, send me your Fountain address. I'll send you some sats, friend. All you gotta do is tell me what you know. You didn't include your Fountain address here. So tell me what it is, and I'll hook you up, brother. Again, we want you guys to try these new podcast apps. And again, really the idea ultimately is, yeah, you're going to earn some sats by listening to podcasts. Oh, someone said, "Oh dear God, not your soothing voice in another language." I would have a tendency to agree on that. I would tend to agree that would probably be a bad thing. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence there on YouTube. I definitely appreciate the feedback. But Brian, going back to your point, really the idea is that you buy some Satoshis with your debit card and contribute those micropayments, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, stream sats by the minute. So, every Satoshi that basically I bring in, I really do redistribute to nearly all the shows. I've got an Umbro set up. I've got my own Lightning node and everything. I still use Alby. But I donate a lot of Satoshis to different shows just because I'm trying to help the ecosystem and to send comments. And I think that's part of the play here. So I'll keep digging through my email. Actually, I've got 2,072 emails to read in my geeknews@gmail inbox. So I'll get those caught up. I think I knocked about 1,000 of them out today. So I'll try to get some more done this week and see if there's any more emails in there from any of you. Make sure when you send your email to the show, geeknews@gmail.com, that you send it and say GNC comment in the subject line and then whatever follows. So it's easy for me to see, okay? I don't want to miss any of your active comments. But it's been my pleasure bringing you a show today, as always. We'll be back here Thursday for another edition on our March to 1700. And at some point, I got to figure out when I'm going to go see my new granddaughter in Wenatchee, Washington. So I'm thinking middle of October. I think that's the tentative date. I haven't booked any tickets yet. I got to get that done. I'm looking for the cheapest price to get out there because I got to fly Alaskan Airlines. I can't use points because if I use points, I can only get to Seattle. Then I have to rent a car and it's 3 hours. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I'm going to try to fly directly in there. And it's an expensive town to visit. The hotels are crazy nuts. Airbnb's crazy nuts. I don't get it. It's just like this big tourist trap area. It's more expensive than Seattle. It's like, good Lord. So I'm definitely sleeping on the floor at my daughter's place. That's my plan. But she's full up with her apartment and what's going on with who lives there. So we'll see. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family of listeners. Again, we want you using one of those newfangled podcasting apps at podcastapps.com. Go over there, just give one a try. And Brian, my suggestion is just go over there and try a few. And some of them are a little rough, but, feedback is good. And giving feedback to the Fountain team is good too. Says, rip the man from Uncle, David McCallan, also the naval officer in The Great Escape. So I guess we're getting updated news of someone that's passed away. So thank Banks for that. We appreciate it. All right, everyone, we'll see you next time here on the Geek News Central podcast. We'll be back with you on Thursday for another edition. It's been my pleasure to bring you a show. Don't forget about the Podcast Awards show this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want to come hang out with me while I try not to fumble through the awards. We appreciate everyone.